listening to the Hall of Fame. Here's Booker T and Brad Gilmore.
Welcome inside the Hall of Fame. I'm Booker T, six-time world champ, two-time Hall of Famer. Got my man Brad Gilmore here with me, guys. We're coming to you from ESPN 97.5, 92.5, and we got a big week upon us, man. Cannot wait to get this week kicked off. And what better way to get it kicked off than right here inside the Hall of Fame where you get your champagne wishes and caviar dreams. Bradley, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Book. This is Vegas week, baby. We're about to get out of here. We're going to get on a plane and go to Nevada, the lovely city of Las Vegas, Nevada. Oh, man, I'm looking forward to the B1. I'm looking forward to the MGM. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the fight night. I'm looking forward to the scenery.
It's going to be going down, man. It's going down. It's going to be awesome. Gervonta Tank Davis taking on King Ryan Garcia. Going down at the T-Mobile Arena, guys. That's Saturday, April 22nd. That's Saturday night. Don't be late. It's going to be good. I can't wait, man. I can't wait to get down there for Radio Row, actually get a chance to talk to some of the fighters. Got a chance to talk to Ryan Garcia at WrestleMania on the kickoff show there for a second, and this guy seemed to be 100% ready. They say this guy's a prodigy, man. But the thing is, this fight is a little bit different than most as far as fighting at a catch weight, 136 pounds. And what's really intriguing about this 136-pound catch weight is that the rehydration clause in the contract that you cannot gain more than 10 pounds before the night of fight.
Okay, interesting. Well, here's my first question. When was the last time you weighed 136 pounds? It had to be a long time ago.
Probably was in the 6th grade.
It's so crazy that these, like, you know,
crazy, man.
The fight that they fight at.
But that's what's crazy, though, man. It used to be the big heavyweight fights that drew all the appeal and all the praise, you know, from the pundits and the public like you and I. But now guys like Ryan Garcia, guys like Gervonta Tank Davis, you know, guys like Devin Haney, those guys, man, are putting the fans in the seats. Crawford, those guys are putting fans in seats, man. And the heavyweight division seemed like since Mike Tyson, it's long past gone, man.
The heavyweights aren't like they used to be. I mean, I think the last big heavyweight fight that I can recall was the one that you and I were there for, which was Fury and Wilder 2. Actually, the third one, I guess.
Just think about it. Those guys, popularity of Tyson Fury and Gervonta, and Wilder compared to, you know, Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield. Yeah. Man, that's leaps and bounds. Let me tell you something. I was at Radio Row for the Super Bowl here in Houston. All right, and I
think Booker may have froze on us. He will join us here momentarily. We're talking about, of course, the big fight that's going down at the MGM Grand this weekend in Las Vegas, Nevada. Book, I don't know. Is it Book or is it me? Somebody in the chat tell us who's frozen. I think it's Book, but it could be me. We'll find out here momentarily. Talking about the big fight going down at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada this weekend that we are both so excited to get.
I'm back. Was that me or you?
I think it's you this time. It's you this time, and you're still a little frozen on.
So what?
It was you this time. There you go. You're back.
Moving around there. Can you feel me?
You're back.
I don't know, man. I'm 100%. You know, as far as everything on my end. But what was I, man? What was I?
Glitch in the Matrix. You were saying that you were on Radio Row for the Super Bowl when it was in Houston, and that's where you cut off.
Oh, yeah. And like I said, Deontay Wilder, he walked through. Nobody said a word. And I said, man, can you imagine if Muhammad Ali walked through this Radio Row? How many people would be going crazy? You know what I mean? I'm talking about workers. I'm talking about all the media, you know what I mean? Everybody, cameramen, everybody would have been going nuts because the champ was here. The champ was here, you know, but that's the difference. And I think Gervonta Tank Davis walked through, you're going to turn your head, going to turn, hey, man, that's Tank. You know what I mean? I got to get a photo with. It's like that with these guys, man.
It definitely is. And the fight hype behind this one seems like a very real one. You were talking about you were seeing things how what Ryan Garcia was using God in his fight promo or
I
something.
mean, he said, when everybody's in the room and all the noise around him, for him is silent, because he's talking to God, and when he, after that, when he get to the ring, he see everything coming. Everything is so clear, so it's this dude, he's looking for a higher power to help him get through this fight come Saturday night. But I tell you, you got to have faith, when you walking inside, that square circle. I was just watching Diego Corrales versus Floyd Mayweather from back in the day, and Corrales went down like 5 times in the fight. And one time he got up, and before he went back into the action, he did the cross sign and went right back in. Like, God help me with this action, man, because this boy is dealing some fire. You know what I mean? But I get it. I totally understand. You got to have faith when you're walking into that type of situation.
And light shine brightly no matter when you're in a big fight. But there's something about a Las Vegas fight that's different. I don't know how you can quantify that to people. Like, Book, for people who haven't seen a Vegas fight in person before, how can you describe the atmosphere?
It's really, really hard, man, because it's different. It's different than anything I've been a part of. Of course, I've been a part of WrestleMania. Don't get any bigger than that. But from this perspective, the electricity is different. The culmination of 2 men getting in the middle of that squared circle, and that something really could happen from a real serious perspective, but you do know that this is a gladiator sport, and you are honored to witness it. It's one of those type of deals, man. It is the most electrifying and the most exciting part of my 58-year existence on this earth, being able to go and watch 2 men, 2 pugilists, go toe to toe inside that square circle. It's magical.
It's going to be something, man. It's going to be something. It's going to be on Showtime pay-per-view this Saturday night, live from the T-Mobile Arena, Las Vegas, Nevada. And Book, can you believe it's been over 3 years since we did one of these Vegas trips? 3 years.
Wow, man, it doesn't seem like that long, but then again, it does. It seemed like a minute, since we've been out of the game. But I'm so glad, man. Thank my girl Tracy for making it all happen. But I'm so glad that I'm get back out to Vegas and just get back in that environment. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, Radio Row is going to be the beginning, starting on Thursday as well as Friday. And then I get a chance to hang out with my boy, Peter Rosenberg. He's going to be
Petey boy.
Petey going to be in the house. But to just get a chance to get back inside the arena and watch the spectacle that we so love so much, which is pugilism, the game of boxing. It's going to be wonderful. And like I say, it's going down April 22nd, that Saturday night at the T-Mobile Arena. That's that boy, Gervonta Tank Davis versus King. I like that name too. King Ryan Garcia. Somebody's O must go in this one right here, guys. 2 undefeated fighters. Someone's O must go. We got to take a break. Stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
Will Allday versus Cameron Cole. Texas champion versus Reality of Wrestling champion. Years in the making. Ex-best friend versus ex-best friend. I know what I'm getting into. I know you're one of the most exciting, high-flying wrestlers in the business today. And for every punch you have, Will, I know the counter punch. Long ago, the years where we used to train together, and I remember every move. I remember everything in your arsenal, Will. So what is it gonna take? You see, for me, I'll do whatever it takes, and you're gonna find that out, Will.
Will Allday versus Cam Cole once again. But this time it's gonna be different. It's not gonna be best friend versus best friend now. It's not going to be me looking in your eyes knowing that at the end of this, we just want to see who the better man is. Yeah, let's talk about that match. And Cam, I knew getting into the ring with you then how good you were. Cam, I know now that you're even more dangerous. But Cam, you strayed. Ever since you and I faced in that last match, a year ago, something changed. And you started walking down this dark path where you would do anything to win, King. And you know what that sounds like to me? That sounds like weakness.
Can you dig it, sucker?
You're listening to the Hall of Fame. Here's Booker T and Brad Gilmore.
Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. Staying on the subject of boxing here, John Morrison. John Morrison. I wouldn't even call him.
It's not John Morrison, Book. You know who we saw over the weekend?
Johnny Mundo. Johnny Boxing.
We saw Johnny Knockout. Johnny Knockout was in the building.
Formerly John Morrison, formerly Johnny Impact.
Johnny Rowe.
Johnny Rowe. Johnny, when he was in Japan, what was he called? Johnny Uno.
I don't know.
Johnny Uno. Whatever.
Why would it be Uno? That's Spanish.
I mean,
what was he? Johnny Doe?
Johnny Itchy Butt. Johnny Itchy Butt. Johnny Itchy Butt. That's what I was trying to say. Not Johnny Ono. That's Sonny Ono.
Sonny Ono. There we go.
But he made his debut at the Creator Clash 2 down in Tampa, Florida over the weekend. He got a third round KO over. I don't know who he was fighting against, but the guy looked like he just woke up and put a pair of boxing gloves on and jumped in the ring and said, "Let's go." But he made his debut. He got a win. I don't know if John Morrison is making the transition or trying to make the transition into boxing, or if he's trying to make the transition into the what do you call these guys? The social media guys,
content creators, the influencers,
the creator, world. If he's trying to, get off into that, and that right there, that's lucrative. That's very, very lucrative. It's worked out for a lot of guys. The Paul brothers definitely have perfected that game. So what do you think it is? John Morrison trying to make a play, or is it something that he's just, doodling with?
Look, I don't think he's trying to get into boxing. I think that, look, you're a worker, man. And if a worker sees a way to get a quick come up, a couple ducats, you know what I mean? You might as well try to go ahead and do it. He called out KSI after the fight, which, would definitely make him some money. I don't think that he would love that encounter for himself. KSI's got some boxing skills behind him. I mean, he's not like a Paul brother.
Well, I wouldn't say he got any boxing skills behind him, but he looked like he could fight a little bit.
Yeah, he could fight a little bit.
Yeah,
and he's had some boxing matches, more than Johnny Knockout has. But my point is, if John Morrison's trying to get some money, that's a money fight for him. I heard, who his original opponent was supposed to be. At least this is what was reported.
Yeah, I heard that too.
It was supposed to be Matt Cardona.
Yeah, Matt Cardona said, "Man, I ain't got time for that. I ain't gonna go get beat up for $5,000." I can't imagine those guys got paid no more than $3,000, $3,000 to $5,000, if that.
Let's see if we can find payouts. I'll see if they have those published.
You're not going to find that. That's not the UFC or anything like that. Those guys got paid under the table in $1 bills. I'm just playing. I know somebody's going to report that, but no, man. I can't imagine those guys got paid more than $3,000 to $5,000 for that fight. And to go out and do something like that. You know what they say about boxing? You know the saying that they say, right?
What's that?
Boxing ain't playing. Ain't no game. It ain't no game. Boxing ain't no game. It's real. Boxing is real, man. One shot to the head, boom. No matter, even if it's John Morrison throwing a shot, you can get hurt. It's just that simple.
Well, John Hennigan, which is his shoot name, as they say, knocked out Harley Mortenstein at the fight. And you know what he said after he won? You know what his first line was of his promo after he won?
What?
And Blitz. What up, Breland? And Blitz.
Blitz. It still got you on that one.
Oh, that's the best thing ever. Gosh, I don't know. You know what? John Morrison, though, I will say, he's a very athletic individual. I don't know about his hands. I mean, obviously he showed that he's got something going on for himself.
Yeah.
But he's an athlete. Remember all that parkour stuff that he does? That stuff ain't easy. People trying to call me. That ain't easy, to do. So I think, he's got some athletic ability. It's, you know what? If he tries to go forward in the boxing game, he needs to take the Jake Paul playbook and only fight guys who are much older than him that he can beat up. You know what? We could book the next Creator Clash 3, John Hennigan versus Bart Gunn.
Well,
let's do it right now.
Wait a minute. How old is Hennigan? Hennigan got to be, 38, 40?
Maybe 40. I don't know.
So what are you talking about booking guys older than him?
Older than him. How old's Bart Gunn? How old's Bart Gunn? I'm trying to
60.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. That age range. Let's get the job done. John Morrison's 43.
Hey man, I don't know, man. As you get older, you just start losing your damn mind. That's the only way I can look at this whole thing. I'm serious. It sucks getting old. I heard Arn Anderson say that a long time ago. He's like, man, getting old sucks. And I'm like, I really didn't know what he meant. But you get older, man, you start losing your damn mind. Look at Rudy Giuliani. You know what I mean? Who was loved all over America. Now the guy just freaking lost his damn mind. I'm serious. It's people like that, and you wonder. And I wonder myself. I check myself every day. I make sure I, do work games and whatnot just to try to stay sharp. But this thing, man, getting old, it sucks, man. Seriously, when I see people, wanting to try to still recreate that youth, and go out there and do stuff like that. I say this is what I say to young people. Start working on your exit strategy, when you're young, you know what I mean? When you are when you got your youth, when you're making your maximum amount of bread, that's when you need to start thinking about your exit strategy. I remember back in early 2000s when I was, before the King Booker run and all that stuff, built my school. And I said, man, I'm going to build something because I got to think about my exit strategy. This is not going to last forever, So, and the thing is, I don't want it to last forever. I don't want to be, some old guy in the ring taking bumps. That's just me personally. Okay. So I started thinking about my exit strategy. So I started thinking about radio. Many, many years ago, I started thinking about radio. AM radio. I didn't care. Just get my foot in the door. Like I say, the school, appearances, speaking engagements. You need to start thinking about that because time, I say it all the time, man, it waits for no man. The sand in the hourglass is running out. The clock is ticking daily. So you need to start thinking about your exit strategy, when you're young and making your maximum amount of dough.
That's definitely great advice. I remember, the old phrase of it's not what you, It's not what you earn, it's what you save, right?
Yeah.
And figuring out what you're going to do after this. But Matt, think about though, pro wrestlers, as far as professional athletes go, I'd say on average have a bit of a longer lifespan than, say like a football. Well, definitely than a football player. Football players got a few good years. Pro wrestlers have a little bit longer, and I'm not going to say John Morrison's long in the tooth. He's 43. Well, when you were doing King Booker, you're around that age.
Like I said, 45 was my number.
That was your number.
I said, man, and the reason why I say that is because it's a young man's game. It's really hard to be 45, 50 years old trying to keep up with some 20-year-old kid in the ring. It's just it doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right. Well, let's just say for me, it didn't feel right. So I said, man, let me find a side job to where I can still work around these guys and still be a part of something that I love so much, which is this game. And I got so much still to give, but just in different departments in different areas. Let me do that. And more importantly, let me be content with that, as opposed to thinking that, the times, have rolled back and, we're back in 1998 again. That's not going to happen. You know what I mean? My body's not going to let that happen. So when I see older guys in wrestling still trying to hold on. I'm not talking about the older guys like a Chris Jericho, who a company is paying him to be the head of that company, and they're going to pay him a whole lot of money. I'm talking about guys that just in the business, that just want to take bumps on the weekend because they still love this business so much. It's nothing in that. It's not worth it for your body's sake to actually, continue to do something like that. That's just my opinion.
No, I mean, I definitely feel where you're coming from. We've all, as wrestling fans, seen guys who are a little bit past when they should be out there in their boots and trunks, and seen some real sad YouTube videos. So you definitely plan your exit strategy. If you take nothing from this conversation, plan the exit strategy. And John Hennigan, Bart Gunn, let's book it now. Let's get the money. Let's get the payday.
Look,
Come on, man.
Bart Gunn.
Brawl for all, too.
Bart at home probably relax. He probably don't want no parts of that. That's dead, bro. It was dead when it was over. Hey guys, stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame.
It was dead when it was over.
Listening to the Hall of Fame. Here's Booker T and Brad Gilmore.
Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. Just talking a little wrestling, talking a little boxing, talking about a little bit of whatever you guys want to talk about. But one thing, since we're on the conversation, Tommy Dreamer, he just led his team to victory at Impact Rebellion over Team Willie Ray. But after he made a speech that he wanted to take some time away from professional wrestling, deal with some personal issues, family, whatnot. Tommy Dreamer is another guy, the innovator of violence. 52 years old, been out there in the trenches for a long time. A guy that loved this business. And I say, take some time away from it. That's one thing, but what do you come back to is the question. And that's the thing. 52 years old. How long can you do this? How long do you want to push your body? And the thing is, I get it, man. I get it. I know once you get this wrestling bug, if you ever watch the movie The Wrestler, it's real, dog. It's as real. That is truly the way a lot of these guys feel about this business. Tommy also said that he want to go inside the WWE Hall of Fame next year. He's calling the shot. Next year is Hall of Fame. What are we going to be next year?
Philadelphia.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Put me in. So yeah. What do you think about Tommy Dreamer taking some time off, as well as Tommy saying, hey, man, I want in next year?
Until I just made the connection that it was going to be in Philadelphia, I was like, oh, I don't know why he's saying it. I got to be in it next year. Could Tommy Dreamer be in the Hall of Fame? You can certainly make a case for him. I'm sure that Philadelphia class is going to have an ECW face or two. And this is no knock to Tommy Dreamer. My recommendation, my personal pick for next year's Hall of Fame is Paul Heyman. I think it's time. I think it's past time.
You know what? I don't know, man. I mean, of course, Paul's a Hall of Famer, but I just don't think that's the one thing on Paul Heyman's list right now.
Well, here's my question, though. Once this Roman angle ends, which eventually we know it will, right? It's not going to go on forever. So eventually it will. I'm thinking there's a high likelihood that it'll end before the next WrestleMania. Maybe I'm wrong. But say it does, what else can Paul do? This is one of the biggest runs of his career, and he's at the tail end of it. He's got to be, just, based upon the time clock.
Yeah, but
Man, that would be a hell of a way to walk out from this big
yeah,
angle of your career into the Hall of Fame.
yeah. Why walk away right now? I mean, why should Paul Heyman walk away right now? There's no real reason why he should walk
I'm not
away.
saying right now.
And no, and the thing is, there are more stars to be built. I think in WWE, I think there are someone out there that Paul Heyman could be the catalyst to get that guy over the top to become even a bigger star than one could ever imagine. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? So I just don't see, any reason, why Paul Heyman would, want that right now. Even though if he got it, it would be great. But I just think Paul got so much left to give, and I just don't think that's the one thing that's high on his radar right now. And I think if you ask Paul Heyman if that was something high on his radar right now at this point, I think that guy, man, still got so much work still left to be done.
And you might be right, but to go to the Tommy Dreamer of it, and this again, this isn't a knock to Tommy or anything. I think that's a call that's made, not something you call for. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I feel like the Hall of Fame calls you, and I mean that over all sports, not just professional wrestling.
Right.
Hall of Fame calls you.
When
you start campaigning a little bit, it's almost like you feel like you don't deserve it. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like I don't deserve it, so I got to campaign for it. And I'm not saying that's what he's doing, but that's just kind of the feeling that I get. Could you make a case that Tommy Dreamer is a Hall of Famer? Yeah, you could make that case. Absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I think that with Philadelphia being around, the Dudleys are already in. I'm trying to think of the big ECW names. The Dudleys are already in. We've knocked Heyman off the list of contention. And when I think of that ECW run, there's only 3 other guys that come to my head, and that's Taz, who's with AEW right now, Raven, who I feel like is a Hall of Famer, and then Dreamer.
What about Sandman?
I don't know if Sandman's a Hall of Famer. I love Sandman.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know if Sandman's a Hall of Famer. I could be wrong on that. I could be wrong. It's all up to like personal opinion. There's some people who are surefire Hall of Famers. There's some that's like, oh, maybe you could make a case for that guy. Or girl. I don't know if Sandman is one though. Sabu.
Yeah. Definitely. You know what? So many guys, man, that definitely deserve to be in the Hall of Fame that put so much work in.
What are your qualifiers? Because I feel like sometimes with the Hall of Fame, we're like, oh, you've been around for a minute. But what are your qualifiers?
I go by body of work, overall, star power. And when I think about a guy like Sabu, just say for instance Sabu, you knew you had heard the name Sabu perhaps way before you ever saw him.
And that is 100% true.
And I say, when your name get there before you do, you own to something. You know what I mean? So I look at it, in that way right there, as far as, how much blood, Sabu has spilt for this business alone makes him a qualifier, for the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? It's so many different qualifiers just because everybody in the Hall of Fame aren't workers, aren't actually wrestlers, and I get that too. You got to look at, certain people from different, just like say, for instance, Charmel, she never took a bump really, from that perspective, but, she got the call just for her body of work in, her area,
Tim White, right?
Tim White, I mean, there again, so I don't know, but is Tommy Dreamer a Hall of Famer? I think so. I really do. One thing I do want to touch on. I heard Steve Kern. He went by Skinner in the WWF back in the day.
I remember.
And I was reading a comment that he made, and he said that he really don't give any weight at all to the WWE Hall of Fame. It really means nothing because this is not a real business, as far as a real sport. And my comeback to that is, and I'm good friends with Steve Kern. We're really good friends. My comeback to that is, we should all know that what this business is entertainment. It's the ultimate form of entertainment. But when somebody, just say for instance, one of those great actors get that Emmy, or that Academy Award, that's what that is. It's that chance to come on the stage and say, man, I thank you guys, for, putting me in this position. I really appreciate the ride, for me, the signs of all of the fans, everybody raising the roof from back. And it was so important for me to thank those fans for this awesome 32-year ride that I've had. If I didn't get a chance to do that, man, I would have felt like I was missing something. You know what I mean? So for me to get that chance to go on stage and thank those fans, I think that's what the Hall of Fame truly is really all about.
Well, I didn't see Steve Kern's comments. I will say I'm a Steve Kern fan. I was a big Skinner guy. I was such a Skinner fan. It was actually one of the few action figures I bought as a kid on the internet. I was like, I got to get a Skinner action figure. I thought he was so cool. But I will say this to his comment, in your paraphrasing of it. Steve Kern would have a different opinion if Skinner was in the Hall of Fame.
I think so. If he just had a chance.
That's all that it comes down to.
Or if he just had a chance to go on the stage and thank those fans. But ride, he would realize how powerful it really is. I'm serious. For me, that was a moment that I will remember for the rest of my life, being able to thank my wife, for all the, times, all the struggles, sleeping in a car at the airport with me, giving me 2 awesome kids, like I said, to be able to thank the fans as well as the company for putting me in this position. It's been a lot of people that have put me where I'm at right now. I didn't do this all on my own, and to have that chance to thank Bruce Kasarch, the guy who, gave me that tuition to go to wrestling school, helped me buy my first car. Man, you don't think I got goosebumps just thinking about that right there. So, no, man, I think you're right. If he had a chance to just step on that stage one time, and that's another guy, do we have a case to be in the Hall of Fame? Steve Kern, man, that dude did so much, played so many characters. It ain't even funny.
He was awesome.
Yeah, he deserved to be in, and so hopefully, he'll get a chance to one day, and those thoughts will change.
Well, yeah, and for me as a wrestling fan, I will say the Hall of Fame holds weight in my eyes. Like when I see the guys go in, even as a fan, you're like, yes, they deserve to have this moment of recognition for what they did for our entertainment.
Just think about this for 1 second. Can you imagine if the Warrior didn't get a chance to thank the fans just that one last time and get a chance to mend all those fences?
So weird.
Can you imagine if the Warrior wouldn't have never got the chance to do that? Stick around, guys. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
I am the Rocket, Josiah John. I'm training at Reality of Wrestling. I've wanted to be a wrestler since I was a little kid, since watching it with my dad for the first time and seeing guys like Booker T wrestle. That's when I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I just had to take that leap, take that drive, and chase some dreams. The greatest thing about Reality of Wrestling is all the knowledge that's here. From all the trainers, Ryan Davison, Brian Key, I am the Rocket. Yeah. One day, Booker T just called me Rocket.
And I got to give him a cool name, man. And Rocket is just something that stuck out with me. And I think that's something that's going to stick with him for a long time. He had Rocket on his shirt. I don't know if you noticed that, but he's definitely falling into it, man. And he's really buying into what this thing really, truly is. And if he could just keep his mind on point and stay focused, he definitely could do something in this position.
I feel like I've been doing really well training here. Just coming as much as I can. Come early to work out before the actual training. We have like a whole gym for people to work out. What would I say to somebody that's on the fence about joining Reality Wrestling? I would just tell you to just take the leap. Because everybody here is going to take care of you and help you get to where you need to be. You can make it here, you can make it anywhere.
Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, guys. We just chopping it up, talking about a little bit of everything inside of sports and entertainment, guys. Don't miss that big fight going down this weekend. Gervonta Tank Davis taking on Ryan Garcia, going down at the T-Mobile Arena, guys. It's going to be good. It's going to be real good. Don't miss out. Don't get shut out. And, man, I cannot wait, man. Cannot wait.
It's going to be incredible. I mean, was there anything, Book, from the headlines of the world of wrestling that you wanted to address before we throw it over to our lovely super chatters who have sent in so many questions already? Want to make sure that if you want to have your question heard or a comment read, super chat it in and we will talk about it here on the show. Was there anything else from the wrestling headlines that you wanted to make sure that we...
One other thing, Bret Hart saying wrestling is going in a bad direction.
I have the actually I did. I read the quote. I have the quote here if we want to read it for context.
Yeah.
Is that all right? All right, this definitely. Bret Hart said, when I think of WWE, for example, and I see 20 wrestlers crowd together outside on the floor of the ring, and some guy runs over and dives over the top rope and knocks them all down like bowling pins, I really roll my eyes at how pathetic wrestling is today. From top to bottom, all the wrestlers, all the middle and bottom wrestlers in the WWE and AEW, all slapping on their leg on every punch, every slap. It's gotten to the point where I can't watch wrestling today. Sadly, it's getting too phony. I really have to question the direction that the people are in charge. He goes on to say, AEW has kind of gone in a bad direction as well. I think with all the violence and gore, I watched some episodes. I watched Martha Hart do her big press conference for AEW here in Calgary. I'm watching AEW and I'm watching who used to be Dean Ambrose sticking a fork in somebody's head for 5 minutes with a close-up on TV. This isn't wrestling either. I would recommend turning that off. I don't watch that stuff anymore. It's not very good. Wrestling is going some bad directions because people don't know what wrestling is or what wrestling was. That's the Hall of Famer Bret the Hitman Hart's comments on wrestling today. They got a lot of attention.
I agree with a lot of those factors, man. I agree with a whole lot of what Bret said right there, as far as, and the thing is, when you see it on a regular basis, that's when, it become, you like desensitized, oh, it's no problem. I mean, it's just wrestling, and when you start doing that, that's when you start messing with my money. That's what Bret's talking about, man. You messing with something that I love, something that I helped build. That's what Bret's talking about. And what I always thought the business was to go out there and simulate, a real fight, and try to make it as close as you possibly can. And my thing is, I was just talking about it not too long ago as far as the leg slap. And I've said that I've slapped something in every one of my matches, okay? But the fans didn't see it. The fans didn't know it. When guys communicated back in the day, the fans didn't see it. The fans didn't know it. They were wondering, how do these guys pull this off without us seeing exactly what's happening here? How can they make this look so real? Opposed to somebody getting shot off the ropes and then the guy come off, you pat him on the back, he runs to the other side just to take a hip toss to reverse it and go. I love Cirque du Soleil. Every time I go to Vegas, when I wait, in a couple of days, I might even stop by. I know they got a new show just came out. I might stop by and check it out. I love Cirque du Soleil. I used to be a dancer to where everything had to be in sync. Everything had to be done in unison. You know what I mean? Timing was everything. And if somebody was off time, it didn't look right. You know what I mean? That's just the way it was. I get that. But when wrestling, every aspect of it look like it's on time, it's a problem, because there's not going to be a fight to where things look like it's going to be on time in a real fight. It's never going to be like that. It's always going to be a raw effect. It's always going to be a grittiness in a fight. But with wrestling, I understand it's to be embellished. So we have to make things look a certain way. I get that. I understand that. But still, the core of it is trying to suspend the disbelief of the fan that's watching it to make them go, man, I like this stuff. This is good. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm thinking about when performing. because I know it's a performance. You know it's a performance. Just like when you go and watch a movie. You know when you watch a good movie. You know when you watch a bad movie. It's simple.
It's very similar. I will say, from a fan's perspective, I agree with a lot of what Bret says, mainly because, I grew up on a different style of wrestling. I grew up on watching you and man, I'll tell you what, Mick Foley, I want to give him some props. Whenever Mick Foley would come out to wrestle, it wouldn't always look pretty. It wouldn't always look clean. It wasn't always on time, but I 1000% believed everything that he was doing. There was never a moment where I questioned it. And I'm talking about if he was Cactus Jack, Mankind, Dude Love, or Mick Foley. I believed it 1000% of the time. I never saw a leg slap, but I did see him pull his own hair out of his head. You know what I mean? This guy was 100% in my mind. Undertaker, Kane, Austin, even Rock.
But I tell you right now, if you ask Mick Foley, have you ever slapped something when you hit someone? He's gonna say yeah, because I can tell you right now, I'm sure he did. I'm 100% sure he did. But Mick did it where the fans didn't see it. That's the art of the game. The hand is quicker than the eye, and that's why I challenge these young guys, man, to really go out and think about your craft, think about your work, because this business is going to be what you guys leave it. Hey, I've done my time. I've served my time. My generation, left the business pretty, well intact. As far as people saying, man, I love this stuff, man. I want to buy into it. To keep it, it's going to be all up to these young guys. That's why I say, understand your work as far as what does it take to make it to the top of the card. The Roman Reigns status. What is it going to take? Whether you at the top of the card or whether you working with the guy at the top of the card, one of the two, but it takes a certain something to actually get to that point. Case in point, I watched Cody Rhodes the way he worked in AEW, and I watched the way he worked in WWE. Two totally different guys.
Yeah. Definitely a whole different work style, right? Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
To go back to Bret's point about some of the violence, I guess, of AEW, like with the fork thing, I will say with Jon Moxley, who I am a fan of, and I think that company, AEW, is better for having Jon Moxley than not having Jon Moxley, right? I think that he definitely takes him up another level, and he's been a standard bearer for them for a long time. To your point, when you see something all the time, it's not special anymore. And when Jon Moxley's gotten this online reputation, and he's gotten a well-earned reputation. He bleeds in every match, right? And this is not me knocking. This is true. He bleeds in every match. And when you see somebody bleed every time they're working, especially 90 seconds in, it doesn't have the same effect. But I remember watching whenever Shawn Michaels would bleed, when I'd see him start to bleed, that was when I brought into the drama, right? I was brought into it because it was knowing the right time to go to that. Let's not just have blood to have blood. Let's not just do a dive to the outside to do a dive to the outside to get a quick ooh and ah. It was, where does this make sense within the context of the story in which we are trying to tell and bring people into, right? And there had to be something that built up to that to pay it off. I go to use your example of movies, you go to the Avengers Endgame. The last line Robert Downey Jr. says, he looks at Thanos and he says, I am Iron Man. And he snaps his fingers, right? If they started the movie with that scene would not be impactful. But because it came at the point of the story in which it did, I remember sitting in the theater. There were men crying when Robert Downey Jr. said, I am Iron Man, because they worked to that spot. They worked to the finish, and they paid it off because we were emotionally invested.
The thing with Jon Moxley, if everybody on the roster did it all the time, maybe Jon Moxley trying to create something. Maybe he's trying to be that Terry Funk of this era. Maybe he wants to go down and leave that as his legacy, being that guy that was.
Perhaps.
Maybe
it's
that's
not for me, but
maybe,
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Maybe that's not for you, but maybe a lot of people do like it. Maybe a lot of people like it. Maybe that's his niche. And like I say, if everybody on the card did it, it would definitely be something that concerned me. But just being Jon Moxley, to Jon Moxley's credit, he might be thinking, well, I'm getting hit in the head every night. Why wouldn't I bleed?
Perhaps.
You feel what I'm saying? You know,
Right.
wait a minute. You see some guys, just say for instance, which irks the crap out of me too, take 10 punches to the face and he doesn't have a busted lip or a bruised eye or a scratch.
So you're saying maybe he's trying to get it from like the MMA approach. Like the MMA guys, if they're in a fight, they're gonna bleed most of the time.
Exactly my point. Exactly my point. How many times have you seen a guy get hit in the face 10 times and he doesn't have a scratch on him?
It doesn't happen a lot.
Does that not bother you a little bit?
Sure. Sure, but I guess that's part of the theater of it,
No,
right?
no. That's part. No.
Like I know if I throw a guy against the ropes, he's not gonna bounce back to me.
Well, that's the embellishment of
That's the
professional
embellishment.
wrestling.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is I would go out of my way to not hit a guy with my fist no more than 1 or 2 times in a match. You know why? You know why?
I see what you're saying.
Because what's on the marquee?
Wrestling.
Boom. We got to take a break, guys. Stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute. Can you dig it, sucker?
You're listening to the Hall of Fame. Here's Booker T and Brad Gilmore.
Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame. Now hold up, guys. I know, I know we got some of them CNN fact checkers out there.
Uh-oh.
And they're gonna go back and pull up one of my matches. They're gonna say, "Well, Booker T, you punched someone 5 times in this match." You know what? I had to grow to thinking that way too. When I was younger in WCW, Harlem Heat, you might see that. But as I grew, as I matured and started really, really thinking about the game, that's when I really started implementing certain techniques because I want the fans to really feel a certain way about watching me in the ring. And the thing with this business is you learn it. You don't just come into the game and know it by osmosis or anything like that. You are taught it, those tricks of the trade. So I just want to get that out there. That's why I'm trying to drop some game on some of these suckers about throwing punches and all that stuff.
Okay, I hear you. Well, we're inside the Hall of Fame. Been talking about everything in the world of wrestling, and let's keep it going. Now we have. Should we get to the super chats, the viewer questions, or is there something
Eric
else
Bischoff said he wouldn't take the risk
to bring?
I'm just going all over the. We'll get back to that. Let's get
one thing because we do have a lot of super chats. And it's going to take a lot of time to get through them all.
So I'm saying.
Let's talk about CM Punk. Because they say they being the reporters say that CM Punk's return to AEW is imminent, that the Warner Brothers Discovery Group, that the network execs have already been told he's coming back to TV. And this is the rumor. This is the full rumor that not only is Punk coming back, they're creating a new show called AEW Collision. It's going to be on Saturday nights. And it's essentially going to be AEW's brand split. They're going to have one roster that's pretty much on Dynamite. Most of the guys are always on Dynamite. And the other side is most of the guys are always on Collision. The Collision camp will be the Punk people. The Dynamite people will be the Elite people. This is what is being rumored around. Now, I personally have several issues with this idea. But what do you think about it when you hear it?
Well, that's not an idea that I like. Okay, that's just not something. We already know the turmoil as far as guys not liking each other and whatnot, guys not wanting to work with each other. And the thing is, it's not like this is rumor or anything. This is fact. As far as certain guys in AEW that haven't touched each other in this last 3 years, I even talked about, I even said something about, or anything like that. So this could create a little bit more friction because now we are fighting within, a company as far as who's the best, who's got the best guys. We got our guys, you got your guys. One thing I always talk about in my wrestling school, we ain't got no clicks. It's a merit system as far as how far you go. And if it was any other way, we always talk about, if it's any loose link in the chain, we got to take that loose link out, get rid of it, put it back together, boom, and keep rolling the same way. We got to roll together at the same pace, at the same time to get to our destination as quickly as possible. And when I see something like that, I don't see that.
I don't either. Kai Toenail said CM Punk is okay. I enjoy Cult of Personality more than him in ring. So why would you go make another show just to have one person there separated from others? I will say this. And this is something I didn't think that I would say regarding CM Punk. What is being reported is he wants to come back. He wants to make amends. He wants to put water under the bridge, whatever. There's a rumor that he's met with Chris Jericho and Tony Khan already to try to get that situation under control. I don't know if that's true or not. But the other part of the story is that the Elite don't want to, and the Elite of the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega don't want anything to do with him. Now, you can definitely understand why they wouldn't want anything to do with him. He comes into a company that they help create, causes some turmoil, says that they couldn't manage a Target in Reseda or whatever he said. And they had some comments for him, and it led to a brawl backstage. Right? Not great. I understand why they wouldn't want to work with him. But here's what I say to them. Aren't y'all the executive vice presidents of the company? Like, shouldn't you want to do whatever's best for the company? One thing that we can't deny is that CM Punk does bring in an audience, because since he left, them going over 1 million hasn't happened a whole hell of a lot. And if I'm the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, I'm going to say, look, this match also could maybe make a little money, right? And we're in the business of making money. I'm sure, Booker, I know for a fact you've had to work with people who you do not like. That's just work, right? Yeah. And if somebody was going to bring in money, help me make money, help bring attention to the show and build it up, and I'm the executive vice president of the company, I'm going to put the water under the bridge. We saw Vince do it 1,000 times. Hulk Hogan testified against him in court in a federal case, and he brought him back and made him the world champion. I mean, you have to do what's best for the business. So in this regard, in CM Punk's side of things, I think that if what everything they're saying is true, is he's making steps to make amends, that's the right thing that he should be doing. Don't know how sincere it is, but the Elite need to sit down with him. If they do not want to, I think that shows that maybe they shouldn't be executive vice presidents of the company. That's just my personal opinion on it.
Well, it's a touchy situation, man. My thing is this.
And I don't think Punk's conducted himself well, by the way, overall. But in this particular sense, I see what he's thinking.
Yeah. My thing is, I get everything you're saying. And my thing is this here, too. I've always been able to say, hey, man, let's sit down and talk about this. I mean, I'm not too big to where I can't say, man, let's get past this and go make some money. First and foremost, because it ain't our stuff. It's Tony Khan's, man. I mean, this is his money that he's putting up. Let's hug it out and go get this paper. That's the way I would feel. Okay. But on the other hand, when I think Punk just made that statement just a week ago, that just
a couple weeks ago. Yeah,
exactly.
Didn't help his case.
If none of that wouldn't have happened, I could see the deal already being done.
Yeah.
I can see everybody, but after that, you got to question somebody's motives. Are they just doing it to just, let's go get this money because they're in a situation? Are they doing it, because they really want to make this thing right? That's where you got to, question a little bit.
And the thing is too, and I said it on here, like if it were up to me, and it's like, if I had the choice, hey, do I want to be around CM Punk? I don't think he's handled himself well in this company at all, right? I don't think so. Now, if I'm Tony Khan and I'm like, hey, guys, I'm paying this guy a lot of money just to sit at home. I would like to get some of my investment back of this.
Yes.
And y'all being the vice president.
Yeah, but it seemed like Tony Khan would have had some check on CM Punk as far as making these kind of statements to stir up all the bead, the hornets.
I don't disagree.
That's
disagree.
That's what I'm saying. Like I say,
and I think that him. Go ahead.
This is the way I feel about it, and I say it again. I think something like this should have been happened. I mean, should have been talked about. It should have happened a long time ago behind closed doors.
Agree.
It was all those guys coming together and say, "Hey, man, hey, bro, let's make this thing right." And how can we make an angle out of it? Okay,
agreed.
That's what I would have been thinking. How can we really pull one over the fans here? You know, and the thing is, guys, I've actually had this conversation before with one of the guys. I say, "Hey, man, I don't like you, and you don't like me. But we're gonna have to work together. All right, it's that simple." All right. That's why I've been, you know, in this business before and been mad enough to actually put myself in that position. Like I say, something like this should have happened a long time ago where somebody should have been a man about this and said, and made a phone call and been the bigger man and said, "Hey, bro, let's fix this. Let's make an angle out of it. Let's make AEW, pop." That's the way I see it. I could be wrong.
Yeah, you could be wrong, but I don't think that you are. I completely agree with what you're saying. I guess my thing is, if the boss came to me and said, "Hey, look, I want to bring this guy back. All right, I'm paying him a lot of money. I want to bring him back. Yeah, I know he's an a-hole. I know he says some things that really piss everybody off, me included. And I wish he'd shut his mouth. But he's under contract. We're paying him a lot of money. The network wants him back. I want him back. He's coming back." Do you think then they should be like, "Okay, we'll sit down and have a meeting with him. We'll figure out how we can make this all work"? No, what they're saying is, why don't you just go make a whole nother show, get a whole nother roster of guys, go to the network, get them to do that, because I'm not going to work with them. If that's really what's happening,
I don't even want to speculate on something like that happening.
Well, that's what it sounds like. That's what everybody's saying.
Yeah, but I can't listen to these, reporters who's reporting it sometime, man. You just can't.
I hear you.
You just can't do that. I would think that, Tony Khan would have tried to, get a handle on that thing and say, "Hey, man, if we're going to fix this, let's fix it. If we're not going to fix it, we're not going to fix it." But I don't think you can have the EVPs telling the owner of the company what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. It's just that simple. I mean, it's a line that you come to, with talent. And it's a line that you don't cross. It's just that simple. And I say that because I've worked with major companies forever. At least for the last 30 years, I've worked with a major company. And I wouldn't have done it with Eric Bischoff. I wouldn't have done it with Vince McMahon. And I wouldn't expect anyone that worked for me to actually hold me up in my own wrestling company.
I will say this. I know we got to take a break, but I would just say this. If all this stuff plays out, and Chris Jericho really has met with CM Punk, Chris Jericho's smart to the game, and he sees, hey, man, we can put our personal business aside if we can make some money in this thing, right? I really feel that way. Yeah, that's why the first person you hear is Chris Jericho's got a meeting.
Well, he's not an EVP.
And he's not stupid either.
Hey, guys, I'm just a consultant. Hey, guys, stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame. I know it's about time for us to take some super chatters, man. We got to take some super chatters, man. We running out of time. So let's get to the super chatters, man.
All right, let's go. And this is going to start off. This is a hard one to start off with, but we'll go to it. This is from Marcus Craig. Said, Book, who would be your Mount Rushmore all time of black wrestlers?
Man, that's a hard
Can't put
one,
yourself
man.
on there.
No, I mean, I'm not going to put myself on there. Of all times, probably number one would, probably be Bobo Brazil. Just because he was a trailblazer. I'm sure Bobo had to go through all kind of crap, dealing with them folks back in the day, trying to just get a break. So I give Bobo big props for, paving the way for me. Number two would be JYD. All right, the Junkyard Dog. They don't come no bigger than Junkyard Dog. This dude was a trailblazer, and he was a major star on cartoons and stuff back in the day.
Man.
Ernie Big Cat Ladd, definitely would be a guy who was a monster in the business, man. Monster. Tony Atlas would be number,
Number four.
Make number four. Tony Atlas was
Good list.
Man, that dude was a brick house. A brick house. And the one black guy who don't get a whole lot of praise, man, just because his mouth got him in a lot of trouble, because he wasn't afraid to just tell you like it was, because like mama says, it be that way sometime. Have mercy on his soul, the Iceman,
King
Parsons. Have mercy. Yeah, that's my list.
It's a great list. Yeah, not a lot of debate there. It was Big Cat, Bobo, Tony, Iceman, and who? You said one other one.
JYD.
JYD.
Yeah.
Gotta throw Ron Simmons in there somewhere too.
Yeah, you know what, man? Let me throw. I gotta have a 6 on that Rushmore, because Ron Simmons definitely got to be in there as well.
Yeah, Ron Simmons got to be on there.
Ron, that's my mentor. Taught me a whole lot. I wish I could tell some of the stories. Super chat.
Breland said, I've been binge listening to the show from episode 1 all the way to he's currently at 258.
Ooh.
I think we have like 400 of these things. So keep up the good work, guys. We appreciate it, Breland.
We appreciate that, bro. Seriously.
This is from Bernard.
Super chat.
Frederic, who said, Book, I always wanted to tell you, you had the best Hall of Fame speech ever. When you said, I would say I do 1,000 times to put to your wife, it put a lump in my throat. Keep doing what you're doing.
Hey, man, it's crazy.
A tear to the eye.
I never got a chance to see my Hall of Fame speech.
You haven't seen it?
No, to this day I haven't seen it. Because on the WWE, like on YouTube, it's not on YouTube. They flagged it and pulled it. You got to pay to see Booker T's Hall of Fame speech.
Well,
it's freaking crazy. You got to
tell you something.
You got to spend money to see that speech, man. So it must have been pretty awesome. But I tell you what, the person that topped me was my wife, because her speech was. I say, man, I wish I had that vernacular. God, I wish
very eloquent.
God, I wish I had it. You know what I mean? I wish I had that eloquence, and that delivery. I know all the words. I just can't put it together like that.
She had a great speech.
What a speech. You know what I mean? So myself and my wife, we tore it down.
Hall of Fame family, man.
Seriously.
This is from Kaitono. We already got that one. This is from this guy
Super chat
named Alex. Do you think Roman's 1,000-day reign is more lasting than a wrestler who's held the championship 16 times?
I don't think neither are, go in the same category. Just because this is a milestone. This is a milestone for Roman Reigns. It's something that people are going to remember forever. I know it's something that he's going to remember throughout the history of his lifetime. Nobody's done this in quite some time. And what it says is, you are a special talent to us. You mean a whole lot to this company. And we're going to praise you by giving you an honor that not very many are bestowed. So for me, that's what that says to Roman Reigns and what he's done. That's what championships has always meant to me. I always say it's not about the belt. It's about the title. because the title means, you are our guy. You know what I mean? More so than anything. Put that under your little hat right there, guys. And
It's a good one.
Seriously.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that, neither or, right? They're both meaningful for sure. But I think with what people are saying is you put more prominence in one or the other. But no, they immortalize you both ways. Ric Flair and John Cena are the only guys I know who got it 16 times. Now the one of them had a 1,000-day reign. So I feel like it cancels each other out.
That's why when I hear guys go, man, the belts, they're just fake. They don't mean anything. That's not true. That's definitely not true. Like I say, that means you are the guy that we are putting all of our trust in to be able to hold this thing down. We putting this whole company on your back, and we're going to see exactly how far you can take us. That's what that means. So the guys who have never been in that position, maybe that's why they say things like that.
It's probably is.
I've been there. I've been in that position several times. One, two, three.
You need more than one hand, Book.
I need more 2 hands. I need more 2 feet. You know what I mean? What are you talking about? I'm just saying.
Oh man. I have a question for you, Book. You ready for it?
Yeah.
I have a simple question.
What's that?
Do you know what unpredictable means? That means not being able to be predicted.
That's one of my NXT lines.
I remember it vividly. I think that's what I was trying to think of the other day that you said.
I love that line right there, man. Make sure you sit down with Timmy so I can write it down. I just say stuff like that sometimes. Like I say, I read, I'm in the dictionary so much, man, just making sure I know the meaning of everything before I say it.
Did you have to look up unpredictable?
No, I did, but that sounds cool. That sounds cool.
Not being able to be predicted, yeah.
It sounds very, very cool when you deliver it that way. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I get it.
Love that line.
Super
this is from
some Roni, brother. Oh yeah.
That's from Cali Toenail. I have to agree with Corey Graves. The women's tag team division is lacking as far as storylines and real competition, and it does seem like they throw people together. Example, how many partners has Natalya had? Did you see what Corey Graves said about the tag division? I have a clip if you didn't see it.
Let me check it out.
All right, here's Corey Graves on After the Bell, talking about the women's tag team titles.
As far as the women's tag team championship go, I'm probably going to catch hell for this. It's never really caught fire. It's never been a very strong division. It's always been sort of an amalgam of thrown together tag teams. And okay, well, I'm going to team with this person tonight. We have a tag title match. We didn't win. Okay, time to get a new partner. It's always just, it's been very transient and constantly in flux. And I'm talking the entire existence of the title since the very beginning. I think Liv and Raquel could be a duo who have what it takes to really solidify the division and maybe sit on top for a while and maybe inspire some other superstars who maybe aren't getting the opportunities that they so desire right now, who want more TV time, who want promo time, but they're not getting it for whatever reason. So maybe somebody sitting backstage or somebody sitting in catering, or maybe a couple people sitting in NXT are going, you know what? Maybe we make a run for this. Maybe we make a tag, because we haven't had a serious full-time tag team in my recollection. The Iconics were as close as we had to hold the titles because they were a full-time act together. But the rest have sort of been, hey, be my partner. Okay, we'll have a little run. Okay, on to the next. Everything just feels very temporary. I think Raquel and Liv could be really good for the division.
There were Corey Graves' comments on After the Bell. I got to say, I agree with a lot of what he said, but what do you think, Book?
No, I mean, I agree 100%. Yeah, that's what I like about NXT, that the tag teams are like true tag teams, like Pretty Deadly, Gallus Boys. They're like true tag teams, and they could grow. Of course, there could be a time to where, they could break off and then they could have, totally, like brand new careers. That's what it did for me. But starting out as that tag team and being known as a tag team, like back in the day, the Steiners and Nasty Boys, you know what I mean? The Road Warriors, I mean, that meant something. And I think not having that in a women's tag team division is going to be like Corey said, man, it's going to be all over the place because you just can't be putting people together that, really don't gel together. The fans really don't want to see them together, and they're only doing it because it's a title, you know what I mean, that they got to put around someone's waist. I think they need to build that tag team division from the inside by putting these girls together a little bit earlier, have them work together, have them, have some continuity. I'm talking about from costuming, knowing how their move sets. The Road Warriors wouldn't have been the Road Warriors if they didn't go out there and work as a tag team. You know what I mean? Nasty Boys.
So right.
You go into Petty City, baby. You know what I mean? Harlem Heat. You know what I mean? That Heat Seeker together. Boom. We had that. It was a togetherness when it came to tag. And I think Corey's right, 100%.
Corey Graves nailed it, but I think we got to take a quick break here, BT.
Stick around, guys. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
How well do you think you know your wrestling? I've prepared some trivia questions right here for you, so let's go and take a look.